my Fossipaws! Few things to say before I announce what video you're watching right now. Number 1, we're currently having a rainstorm, so you can most likely hear it in this voiceover. And number 2, apologies for the lazy format of this video. I've always wanted to do this video, but I honestly didn't feel like putting that much effort into it or editing it that much. So this is what you're getting. I'm still going to be answering/reading your assumptions about me, but it's not going to be like a top quality, highly edited, funny video or anything like that. Alright, let's get into reading your assumptions about me. So the first assumption is from Beanie Frights, and Beanie Frights says you have a lot of Beanie Boos that you want to customize. Typically, the answer to this would be absolutely. But honestly, at the moment, I do not have many plans to customize that many Beanie Boos right now. I do have a select few that I plan to customize at some point, but I don't have any specific plans for their design. For example, the current ones that I'm debating on customizing are Mexico, aka Yips, Spirit, Atlas, and Meadow. There's no telling when I may customize these Beanie Boos. Sometimes I think of an idea for a custom and then I make it the next day, and sometimes a Beanie Boo sits in storage for literal years until I customize it. So it really depends on if I have a specific plan for that Beanie Boo, or if I get randomly really inspired. The second assumption is from one of my friends, June, and she assumes that I secretly love Harry Styles. Now, if you weren't already aware, which I have no idea how you wouldn't be considering it's all June posts about, she's obsessed with Harry Styles. And, not gonna lie, she kinda wants everyone else to be obsessed with him too. Sorry, not sorry, June. But to answer your assumption, no, June, I am not. I don't have anything against Harry, but I'm not obsessed with him like you are. The only thing that I would have to complain about is I hate the song Watermelon Sugar. I'm not even gonna get started on it. That's all for this assumption. Beanie Boo Giraffe says, there's that one person that you can't stand in the community, but you don't want to be rude. I can think of multiple people, but I'm not going to mention them. You think Mariah Elizabeth has the best humor. Don't get me wrong, I love Mariah Elizabeth. But I have been watching her for 5 years now, so I do get a little bored of some of her comedy style is what I was trying to say. Still love her though. You get a lot of hate comments when you customize Beanie Boos. You'd be surprised that I actually don't. And I think it all just has to do with the fact that a lot of my comments are off. I feel like if my comments were on, I totally would. But luckily, I have not experienced that, at least not recently. But for those who do go through that, I feel horrible because they're just doing what they love, customizing a Beanie Boo, and then they get a ton of backlash for it. These next assumptions come from Paige Panda. You love monkeys, but think people will judge you. Alright, I'm gonna expose myself a little bit here. I definitely don't like monkeys, but I also definitely don't hate them as much as I lead on to you guys. It's honestly become more of a running gag on my channel and more of a joke than of a serious, disliking towards them. I just sort of realized that you guys liked the fact that I didn't like monkeys, so I really played it up, or even you could say milked it for the videos, not even gonna lie. So yeah, it's basically just become like a comedic relief thing on my channel and less of an actual, hatred for them. You secretly think music hurts your head. I think if you listen to anything for too long, it will, but I don't think it's just specifically music. Your favorite artist is Pink. I love a lot of Pink songs, but I don't have a specific favorite musical artist that I am super in love with. I just kind of listen to whatever I feel like at the moment, and sometimes that is one artist and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's such a drastic difference in the types of music that I listen to, and quite the variety. Like 1 minute I'll be listening to something like Crying in My Prom Dress, and the next I'll be listening to something like Knife Under My Pillow by Maggie Lindemann. Good song, by the way, recommend. So to summarize it, I don't have one specific favorite artist, but yes, I do love Pink. I think she's a pretty cool person and she makes pretty cool music. And the last assumption that Paige Panda has is your BooTube best friend is Booniverse. Honestly, it really depends on the time frame of when you are to ask me this question. Had you asked me this question a few months to a year ago, I would have said, of course, absolutely 100%. But now that time has passed and I've met more BooTubers, I would say that it is Celeste, Pawprint, and June. And the only reason why I say that is not because I had a falling out with Booniverse or we got in this huge fight or anything. It's simply we're in different time zones and I'm sure she's just busy living her life, so we haven't talked much. Wish the best for her though and hope she's doing well. And Booniverse, if you're watching, let's reconnect, girl. She's probably not watching this. You think that Beanie Boos should have things like us. I don't exactly know what you mean by this assumption, but I'm assuming you mean like clothing and furniture, and if so, then yes. I love to make clothing and furniture for my Beanie Boos. And Beanie Boo King's assumption is you are an elbow. I hate to admit it, but you've caught me. I am an elbow. I secretly have been for 15 years. And it's been eating away at me keeping this secret from you all. I'm so deeply sorry. At least I'm not a kneecap. That would be embarrassing, am I right? Like, only losers are kneecaps. Pfft, the elbows are where it's at. Beanie Boo Wolf's assumption is you have a lot of customs that you haven't shown anybody. I definitely have a lot of failed and unfinished customs, that's for sure. And I always intended on showing them to people, but then they were so bad that I just wanted to pretend they didn't exist, and I didn't want proof of my horrible creation on the internet. So yeah, to answer it, there are so many unfinished customs that you guys have not seen. And I like to keep it that way. Beanie Boos Forever says, for her first assumption, she says, you are very optimistic. I definitely used to be. And then the pandemic hit, and that blew all of that out the window. And I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I've definitely had a lot of mental health issues over the span of this virus and gone through a lot. And it's definitely 100% changed who I am as a person. It changes the way I view life. And I wouldn't say that I'm a pessimist. I'd say if I had to label it, I'm more of a realist now, where instead of being like, everything's gonna be okay, guys, I'm like, well, realistically, when you think about it this way. So I guess that answers it. Number 2, you love watching TV shows and movies. You would be correct. I have watched pretty much everything on Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu. I have watched Encanto 4 times already, Luca I don't even know, 8 times already. And number 3, you really enjoy nature. Definitely. Although, again, the virus has definitely affected that. I still love nature, but I'm not out in it as much anymore. Which I really wish I could be. Cece says, you are an extrovert. Again, I feel like had you asked me any of these before the virus, the answers would have been so much more different. Before the virus, absolutely 1000% love people, love being around them. But now, because of the virus, I've become really paranoid and anxious about social interaction. I've lost a lot of my social skills because I haven't been interacting with people as much. And although I miss people and long for human interaction, when I actually do have human interaction, I get really anxious by it because I'm high risk. So it's I want to enjoy the experience, but I physically can't. So I honestly don't know how to answer this question. I'm sorry. You like cheese. That's funny. In my Q&A, I also got this question. I don't know what the whole deal with cheese is. Depends on the type, but I love a lot of cheese. And you are nice and kind. Thank you. I try my best to be kind to everybody, but everybody has their bad days. Those are all of the assumptions that I'm going to read for part 1, but I'm sure by the time this is uploaded, you guys are going to have more, so this will most likely be getting a part 2. I hope you enjoyed having your assumptions/questions answered, and I will see you in another video. Hey, hey.